Hello, my name is Cinthia Sanabria and I am a student at Chattahoochee Technical College. This course is Personnel Management 2322 and today's date is July 19th, 2020. Today I will be talking about the hiring process, and I will be including topics such as recruitment, interviewing, selection, hiring, motivating, and firing employees. My goal for this discussion will be to provide you with helpful information on how to recruit employees, on how to keep those employees content, but also on how to go about firing employees if they are not a good match for the position that they were hired for. Another good option would be, according to NACE and their website, I was reading that it states that you can post in their career center, and it offers cost-effective rates and puts your job availability in front of exactly the right candidates, so it saves you both time and money. During the recruitment process, it's basically a time where the director must take initiative to seek new employees to fit the position which they are looking for. So basically, a director can do this in many ways. They can put positions on a flyer or even on the website of their school, as well as creating a LinkedIn account. LinkedIn, you basically seek connections or people who might have the same interests or are in the same field as you, which will help you narrow down to people who will fit in the category which you're looking for. And then there's also Indeed. Indeed is a place where directors or higher authorities can go and post jobs that are available within that field, and then people who have qualifications for what you are looking for can apply for those jobs. And then from there you move on to setting up interview and things like that. So those are some helpful ways in which and a director can start recruiting new employees that will match the position that they are making available for their site. When posting a job that is available on one of these sites like LinkedIn or Indeed, it's important to be very detailed and clear on what you are looking for, so that the person applying can better see if that is something that they would like to do or that they are qualified for, and it'll help narrow candidates who really will be adequate for that specific position. According to our textbook, Developing and Administering a Child Care and Education Program, it states that a clear description of what the job requires allows the applicant to determine if the job seems like a good fit for them. One thing that is also very important to consider is that before even posting any available job positions, it is important to also post within your center, so that way you can save cost as well as save time, and see if any of your current employees would like to apply for those positions. Maybe it is a new opportunity for them to move up, or they're just looking for something new to do. So that would also be a helpful way to recruit different employees for the new positions that become available. So after the recruitment process would begin the interviewing process, and within this time is when you have determined that the candidate who has applied is someone who could possibly be a good fit for the position that they applied for. And when it comes to interviewing, this is a time where the director has to be very, very, very professional, as well as follow specific guidelines. According to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, it's important to stay away from questions that are going to create a sense of like discrimination or things like that. So stay away from asking about race, religion, personal questions like, oh, what is your husband working, or how many kids do you have? That's something that you kind of try to stay away from. Good questions to ask would be, what qualifications do you have? How many years of experience do you have? Have you ever worked in this position? What do you already know about this position? What are you looking forward to? Those would be appropriate questions. Being familiar with what appropriate questions to ask and then what questions to stray away from will not only make the interviewing process much more smooth, but it will also help cover you as a higher authority, so that if you decide that this is not a person who you think will be a good fit for the job that became available, then they won't feel like it was because of a certain thing that you might have asked or something that was brought up in the conversation. So staying very professional and just on topic of that certain position and stuff that have to deal with that position will better help you and the applicant. And so also asking for a resume beforehand. So I know when you're on Indeed, there's an option to where the applicant can all upload their resume, and the employer can view it as well as print it out. So when they come into the interview, you already have it printed out, and so you can go based off of what they have on their resume and ask questions about that, like, oh, I noticed that on your resume you stated that you have experience in this position for 2-3 years. So start a conversation based off of those things. And also on the resume, looking for references is important. And going about references, a good way to do that would be to contact them through email. If the email is listed, give them a phone call, as well as if it is through email, you can send them a questionnaire. And those are good ways kind of to know a little bit more about the person who you are hiring, and see how their work ethic is, as well as how well they get along with other people, what other people have noticed of them in a workspace. So that will also help you narrow down to see if that is the person who you would like to hire for your staff. Now, if after this you have already recruited the person, you interviewed them, and you think, oh, like their references spoke really good about them, this is a person who I would really like to join my team, then after this you would go into having the applicant fill out important documents that are called employee contracts, such as like having them read over the employee handbook, and having them sign saying that they have read everything that the job includes, so that later on, if anything happens, they have read that and they have agreed that they have read that, so they can't go back and say, oh, well, I didn't know. At that point, you should have read the handbook and you signed it, so you did know. And in the employee handbook, it's going to include important information such as cell phone use, or as important information such as how to go about holidays, time off, paying, scheduling, flexibility, all of that good stuff. After going over the employee contracts, now you would like to set up a time for orientation. During orientation, this is the time to maybe finish filling out documents that you need to fill out, making copies, all of that, showing the employee around so they can become familiar with the facility, as well as meeting other staff members. During this time, you can also even fit in a working interview, and during this working interview, it will allow the director to get a better sense of how the employee works and their work ethic, how they get along with others, how they interact with the children, or whatever their position requires, as well as it will give the employee a better chance to see if this is actually something that they want to do. Sometimes, even though you are qualified for the position, once you're in action, maybe you realize, oh, this is not something I want to do, or you realize, oh, this is something I want to do. So during this time, that would be a good opportunity to kind of narrow that down to see if this will be a good fit or not. A good way to keep your staff motivated would be to have really good communication. So always stop by, ask if they're doing all right, be involved within the classroom. You can even have events outside of work to where it gives everyone a time to come together and just chat, make sure everyone is doing good. Have meetings not during, but after, maybe 30 minutes after work, and just discuss things that need to be brought up, or even before work, or even at social gatherings outside of work, this can be discussed. So those are good forms of communication, as well as having just good trust within you and your employees, so that they feel that they can come to you anytime to just talk about whatever it is that might be bothering them, or they just need somebody to talk to about something that's going on within their classroom, or something that has been bothering them. That would be a good way to. When it comes to terminating an employee, it's important to have, if there was already a prior issue or something that had led up to this, it's important to keep documentation. So give warnings, and then a second write-up maybe, and then the third one would be the termination. So have an effective plan to where you have documents that are backing you up, because sometimes if you just fire them right off the bat, they can easily say, oh, well, I didn't know, I don't know why I am being fired, which is a good reason to also imply the termination at will, which is that any employee can be terminated without reason within a certain amount. In conclusion, it is so important that after reviewing all this information about recruiting, interviewing, selection, hiring, motivating, and firing employee members, it's important that you always keep good communication with your staff members from the beginning, from hiring them all the way to termination if that happens. It's always good to keep that open communication and keep following the appropriate steps to keep not only you as a director protected, but your staff members as well.